Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Objective Reality Games podcast, where we talk about everything gaming. My name's Malachi, and I'm joined here by my buddy Colin.
Hey.
And today, we have some important gaming news to kick our podcast off with. We got our reporter, Colin, on the scene. Colin, what do you got?
Yeah, so, all right. On Instagram, Beat Saber dropped about 8 Steam keys for songs for the holiday. And they also have, let me see here. They've got Oculus Steam keys, or it's not called a Steam key for Oculus, right? It's called like an Oculus key.
Yeah, Oculus key, something like that.
And then PSVR, they even dropped 6 songs on PSVR. So you've got like, I have no idea what the songs are because we haven't downloaded them yet, but there it is.
Get them while they're hot, boys.
And it's on Instagram. I think it's probably on Facebook too, but I don't look at Facebook.
Yeah, you already know your boy's getting that as soon as he can, because I love me some Beat Saber.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know what songs they are. I hope they're like some cool Christmas songs or something. That'd be really nice, actually.
Oh, it might be Christmas songs because it's...
Some Carol of the Bells. That'd be sweet, actually. I hope it's like the super hard Carol of the Bells.
Man, we should download those today, shouldn't we?
Yeah, and you guys should download them when you get the chance. If you love Beat Saber, it's definitely something you should do because I bet they're going to be good songs. They always have good songs mapped out.
Well, especially when Beat Saber makes the song, they program it right. Like when you download people's the ones that people make on their computer, sometimes the slashing doesn't really line up and stuff. And
I can tell you, I've done some crappy maps sometimes, and they aren't that great.
Yeah.
But I bet these are going to be good because I remember when they surprise dropped Fitbeat. That was a good one. So I just hope it's just as good as that.
Right.
So with the news out of the way, we wanted to get on to a little bit of segments here. We wanted to break up into segments so we could talk about a bunch of different games from different types of genres we like. And we wanted to start by talking about a VR game, just highlight it, get you guys to know it and what it's about in case you haven't checked it out already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think starting with this podcast, we're going to do like a 3-segment podcast where we first talk about a VR game, and then we'll talk about a regular video game, and then we'll talk about a board game. And like you said, today we're going to be talking about Zero Caliber.
Oh, yeah.
And Zero Caliber is like one of my favorites because it's a lot like Call of Duty in VR. I love the mechanics, the physics of it, where you actually chamber the rounds. You have to put the magazine in, and you can actually look down the sights and scope kill people. Like, it's got some really solid physics.
Oh, yeah. I love playing that game. And, like, when you say you got to chamber the rounds and everything, you get this feeling that it's, like, super realistic. I mean, it is. But it's, like, futuristic stuff where you can climb up things with your little weird gravity gloves and stuff. And, like, you could take a million shots before getting downed. And I think that's the fun part about it because it lets you experiment and basically do whatever you want. Like, it'd be inefficient to wield dual Uzis in a realistic game, but in that game you're able to do it because I mean you can take a few shots.
Or double AKs. You can have like 2 M16s, one in each hand. Like that's not going to happen in real life. But
exactly.
You can do it in Zero Caliber. You can take a grenade, pull the pin, and then stick it to your buddy's what's it called? His utility belt, and blow him up. I've done that before.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot to do in that game. I actually really like the squad operations in that game. Like, the ability to do a multiplayer campaign with friends makes it super fun.
I just wish they would add more to the squad ops, because right now I think there's like 6 campaigns, 6 different maps that you can do, maybe 7. But in single player, I think there's like 20. There's a bunch, like all over the global map. You can go to.
I'm pretty sure it's the same amount.
You think?
I think they have campaigns, and each campaign has a certain number of maps, and I think it's just the same for squad operations.
Maybe on the map for single player, I just see more play buttons because it's like each individual.
You don't see that in squads. You don't get to see each little part. You're just scrolling through, kind of zoning out.
But one hang up I have though is in multiplayer. Sometimes I have a real hard time getting in with the people I'm trying to play with. Like I'll create a match and then they can't find it, or vice versa. And so sometimes you have to just like both hit quick play at the same time and hope that it links you together, which kind of sucks. But
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's kind of annoying getting the match set up sometimes, but I feel like it's super worth it once you do get a match set up. The one thing, I like the campaign missions. They're really good. Like, some of my favorite ones are where you're in, like, cities and stuff, and you're going through buildings, clearing them out. Those are, like, really good. So the campaign's nice, but it would be nice if there was a more, PvP type thing in there. I like PvP in games, and I feel like that would have been cool. I mean, you could always just do a squad operation and, like, get into a part of the map where you can duel each other or whatever.
yeah,
but
there is team kill, so
Yeah.
if you wanted to, I've done it plenty of times, but unintentionally.
Right. It's not the kind of game that says, "Hey, we got tons of PvP." It's like not really a main feature of it. Is what I
Right.
mean.
I will say, shooter PvP in VR really isn't that solid right now. I don't know. Pavlov does a good job of it, but I don't know if it's because they have a hard time doing that predictive movement physics stuff like they do in like console games. But I don't know. I think there's probably more to it, like on a programming level, that makes it difficult. But I haven't played like a really good PvP shooter in VR yet, personally.
Yeah. Was Pavlov any good with multiplayer shooting though?
It's all right, but like I said, it just feels like I don't know. It just doesn't feel as good as like a console shooter because like I don't know where I was going with that. I really don't.
That's fair. That's fair. I feel like Pavlov's probably the better of the two when it comes to multiplayer, at least, because it actually has it. It has PvP and it has multiple options for PvP. Because it's not like, oh, we got one mode, we got deathmatch, but there's a million different modes and maps created by people.
And the multiplayer for Pavlov that I have issue with, it's just the VR movement in general because it doesn't feel natural to me to run your thumbs across those trackpads to move. So I think when I'm trying to like fight somebody in multiplayer in VR, I just don't feel like I'm like doing it right, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
Does Vive have like an attachment where it's thumbsticks instead of trackpads?
Not with the Vive Pro. Maybe the Valve Index does. I haven't used the Index controllers. I know Oculus does. Oculus has those little thumbsticks.
Yeah, I bet it'd be a lot better if you had some thumbsticks. Because it's kind of, I know for a fact it's freaking hard to do that stuff on a trackpad.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you don't see people playing shooters on their computers using the trackpad. It's because it doesn't work.
Right. I can't wait. We're getting those Catwalk VR omnidirectional trackpads, and I think that that's going to just make it so much more realistic and so much more fun. Although, I don't know. I haven't played on it yet, so I can't say for sure, but I think it's going to be pretty sweet.
I have a feeling getting to run instead of like using the thumb pad or trackpad is going to be a lot better, especially because like you've told me that you get motion sick when you're playing those games because you're moving in the game, but you're not moving in real life. So it's like, well, now you're moving in real life and you're moving in the game, so it makes more sense that way. You aren't getting all motion sick from doing it.
Exactly.
Which I think is going to be really nice for people who are wanting to try VR, but, they're worried about that.
It's going to be a workout. Like, you're going to sweat for sure, but, I mean, I can't wait.
I mean, I feel like that's a good thing. I mean, getting people to work out a little bit while still getting to have some fun. I mean, that's a pretty nice thing, actually.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I don't think it'll work with the boxing game, because I was thinking, like, Creed, not to get off topic, but I think Creed would be really awesome with that trackpad because you could like run around the ring instead of using like in Creed you have to like swing your arms or whatever to like move around.
Do the weird robo arm movement. That was a funny.
So like running around with the trackpad and then like punching people, I think that'd be sweet.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if that works.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. But about Pavlov and like Zero Caliber, I feel like Pavlov is definitely the more multiplayer-oriented game, while like Zero Caliber is the more campaign-heavy game. Like, I mean, Pavlov doesn't have a campaign. Zero Caliber doesn't really have PvP multiplayer. So they just kind of are the different worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're two different games pretty much. Like we said, I don't know if we mentioned it yet, but we here in the arcade we equate CS:GO to Pavlov, and Call of Duty is like the console version of Zero Caliber. So it's like two different games basically.
Yeah.
Like we said, Zero Caliber for what it is, it's a really solid game though. Like it's the campaign's really good.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, if Zero Caliber had multiplayer and Pavlov had a campaign, they'd basically be the same game at that point. They're very similar, but since Pavlov went more heavily into multiplayer and Zero Caliber went more heavy in the campaign, they were able to do their own thing while not, stepping on each other's toes on that. Because, I mean, they're pretty similar. They both, you do the unloading and cocking back your guns all the same in both games. They have a very similar feel.
I think Zero Caliber graphically looks a little better, in my opinion.
That's fair. And that's also like CSGO and Call of Duty. Because Call of Duty is probably definitely graphically better than CSGO.
True.
So, but, people like playing the multiplayer stuff on CSGO because, you got player-made servers and everything where you can do, like, TTT, I guess surf, there's murder, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do.
Prop hunt's fun. Yeah. I think you can even do the same thing in Pavlov. I haven't made a level in Pavlov, but I'm pretty sure there's player-made servers for sure. And I think there's even player-made maps too.
Yeah.
So
I remember that I saw someone playing like zombies, like COD zombies on Pavlov, which was pretty sweet. Like, I really like Zero Caliber, but I think if I had the choice between Pavlov and Zero Caliber, I'd probably play some Pavlov because the options there's so much more variety to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like if you were sick of Pavlov and you wanted to just play a campaign, like a solid campaign, I wouldn't be upset about playing Zero Caliber either.
Yeah, no doubt.
They both have their own strengths that, you can enjoy.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then let's go on to our next segment, which is console games. And I'm really into Watch Dogs Legions right now. I just got it about 2 weeks ago, I think is when it came out, maybe a couple weeks. But I think it's a really fun game. The only thing that I'm kind of bummed out right now is that it doesn't have multiplayer yet. It's like an open world kind of GTA 5 style, game is what it's supposed to be, but the multiplayer won't release until like mid or early 2021. They haven't given a date yet, but I mean it's at least a few months away, which I don't understand why they would release the game before it's ready, but I mean
they always have deadlines and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the sucky thing about games, because it sucks when some games just get released before they're even really finished.
Yeah.
Because I heard that Cyberpunk ended up being a really buggy game, you know what I mean? And I bet if they got a little more time to work on it a bit, it could have came out a little better, but they were probably wanting to release it around Christmas time because, everyone's going to buy it for a gift, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. Like, as a game designer myself, we're trying to hit a deadline 6 months from now because we want to hit the next winter cycle. So we want to have the game ready and out there for like October, November of next year. And I can already see that we're going to have a hard time hitting that,
Right.
But, with Watch Dogs, they dumped millions of dollars into making this thing, so they had to get it out. I'm sure Cyberpunk was the same way.
Right.
So
pretty sure they've been working on that thing for like years, 5 years, something like that. Something crazy, insane.
Yeah. Watchdog was, the single player is really good though, and just the amount of detail in everything. Like you go up, so you have to in Watch Dogs, you have to recruit like this team. In Watch Dogs Legion, the whole storyline starts out with you're part of this group. And this terrorist organization kind of took over England and wiped out your entire group of people. So you're like the last one, and you have this like AI that's helping you rebuild your team. And you can go to any person in the city, and they all have their own like bio. So like you'll walk up to this random stranger walking down the street, and it'll tell you like, hey, this person is a computer scientist and their specialty is this. And you walk up to the next person, it's like, this guy's a janitor and he can help you get into this building.
Dang.
So each person has their own individual storyline. I'm sure if you go around the city enough, you'll find like repeats. But I did that for 10 minutes solid, and everybody had their own different storyline, their own different name, you know. So
Yeah.
like just the amount of detail that went into just that part of the game is mind-boggling to me.
That's kind of how it was in Watch Dogs too. Like you would, like I mean, not Watch Dogs 2, but the first Watch Dogs. I haven't played Legion, but I've played the first Watch Dogs enough to kind of get the idea of how it works. Like whenever you were running by someone, their name would pop up. They had like a little job beneath them, their picture and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was, I really liked and I really enjoyed that game because I felt like sometimes when I was just going around, I could like get into a side quest where you had to like hunt someone down because they were about to do something. Mm-hmm. Like you could see their threat level increase, and then you had to stop them before the crime happened. Like I love games that have a bunch of side stuff you can do because I get wrapped into that so easily.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like the open world games are really fun, but I mean it has to be the right one. Like I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey forever because you can go down, like you said, down those rabbit holes with the side quests forever, and next thing you know, you're like 4 side quests into this storyline that doesn't have anything to do with what the main storyline is, but it's just fun. It's just fun. And the same thing with Watchdog. Like you'll walk up to any random person on the street and you can talk to them, and they might have like a relative that got kidnapped or something, and you're next thing you know, you're like breaking into this police department to rescue this person's relative that has nothing to do with the storyline. But I mean, it's just a really cool, like, just like again, the amount of work that goes into filling out all those storyline branches, and it's just crazy.
Right. I mean, I could not even get a reward for side questing, and I'd probably still do it. Like, I guess maybe this is a game I could talk about in the future, but I'm just going to briefly go over it. There's a game I love called Yakuza, and in that game, there are a lot of, like, really freaking quirky side quests that you can do. Like, I'm trying to remember one of the ones off the top of my head that I really loved, and I think it was like, okay, so there was one, it's a little weird, but, like, there's a dominatrix, but she is a bad one. She sucks at doing it. Like, she's really nice to people instead. And you actually end up training her how to do it. And the funny thing about it is you go to a children's playground to do it, and the kids, like, walk up to you and like, what are you doing? And you have to just keep rolling with it. Like, it's super quirky stuff, and I just love that game for it because every time a side quest would come up, I'd drop everything I'm doing, like, this is now what I'm doing. This is my thing because I really want to see where this leads.
Yeah, I've never played that one.
It's a really interesting game. I'll tell you about it like because I feel like it'd be a good future game to talk about because I
Yeah.
love it so much. But like, if you want to try it, but like in the time between, it's on Game Pass, and this is to all of you. Yakuza 0, 1, and 2 are all on Game Pass. If you have an Xbox, I highly suggest playing them. They're really good games.
I'll have to play that. That what you said reminds me of this game that I loved called We Happy Few, and it was just like super off the wall, weird quests like that.
Exactly.
So in Watch Dogs 2, or what the first one, the one that you played, were you part of like the government structure in that one, or were
Pretty
you
sure you
a
were
rogue?
DedSec.
DedSec.
That's
is
what the
who-
group was.
Yeah, but was it part of the government in that one, or was it like an underground organization?
Pretty sure it was underground. In that
Okay,
one.
because
Like you were trying to take over CTOS or something.
Yeah, I don't remember who we're trying to take over in this one, but it's like DedSec was wiped out, and I'm like the last person in DedSec, so I'm trying to like rebuild the team and all this, and like there's Berkeley or Bigsby, I can't remember what the AI's name is, but he's our AI, like helping me find these other recruits and stuff. But like I said, the beginning of the game started with your entire team being wiped out, and I didn't play the first one, but I kind of got the idea that it was part of the government in the first game, and then in this one, like a new government took over, and now you're like public enemy number one.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I love those dystopian kind of futuristic games in general, and this one hits all those buttons for me because it's like open world, multiple side quests. You could play it forever if you want to, or you could play it for 5 minutes and do something, and drop it. But
Yeah, I remember when I played Watch Dogs 1, they had like the little areas that you had to take over so you could get like CTOS range, and it was always guarded by a ton of people. I loved those little places to go to because the hacking in that game was super fun, where you could hack the cameras and you can use a camera to hack another camera and tag all your enemies, and then like you can ring their telephone so they get like distracted, then you can come over and sneak attack them.
yeah,
I really like that about the Watch Dogs 1. I assume it's pretty similar in this one to maybe
Yeah.
a more extreme degree.
you can do all the same. I think something that you didn't mention in this one, you can shock people through their phone. Like you can they can pick up their phone and then like you can shock them and they're like, ah. So that might be something new to this game.
It might be, actually. I don't know about Watch Dogs 2, but I mean, that sounds pretty fun to me because I know you could. I don't think you could do that in one.
But it adds another level to the way that you can complete missions too, because in this one mission, I had to get somebody out of custody. They got arrested for something. And so I had to sneak in and rescue them. And the first time I just went in guns blazing and got murdered, But the second time I did that hacking the camera, and then I went from one camera to the next camera, and then I used that camera to activate this car and threw it into reverse because you can like take over cars and
that's
move them. So I put this car in reverse and ran over the guards, and then I just snuck in, uncuffed the dude, and walked him right out the front door because I like ran everybody over with this rogue car. So like,
I like those little things. Like, that's really cool stuff, getting to mess with the environment like that.
yeah,
I remember even like the little things, like there were like little roadblocks. They were just kind of metal panels on the ground. You can lift them up to provide cover for yourself. Even
Yeah.
those little things I liked about that game.
yeah. One thing that's weird about that game, like, so in GTA, if you're driving around the city and you smash into cars, typically the cops are going to be like coming after you, right? In this one, like, you can just drive 100 miles an hour through the city, run over people, smack cars around. Like, I think I've only had the cops chase me from driving around the city maybe twice, and that was because I hit cop cars. Like, typically, they don't care. Like, oh, you ran somebody over? That's cool. You smashed up, did a 10-car pileup? Whatever.
I mean,
But,
yeah, it's a little unrealistic. I can get that, but in fairness, the cops in GTA are pretty annoying. Like, they're a
Yeah.
little overly aggressive, so I'm fine with like a little less aggressive cops in that game.
But maybe in the future, cops don't care about
Yeah.
you murdering people or doing property damage. I guess maybe that's fine. So
I mean, you could always assume that maybe your hacker self made it so like it didn't really show up on the radar. Because I
that's
mean,
true. Yeah.
you got an AI that's constantly helping you out. It wouldn't be too far of a stretch to assume he's messing with police scanners or something.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I just love those open world kind of games like that. Like the other day, I got on there and I wasn't even playing a mission. I just went and I found like this factory, hacked into the camera, and then grabbed one of their construction drones and lifted up like all of their like boxes, and then dropped them back and like blew up this factory for no reason, just because I was bored and wanted to waste some time. So
That's fair. I mean, that's because kind of what an open world lets you do. Just kind of whatever you're feeling in that moment.
yeah,
You just do it.
but yeah.
Yeah. Because that kind of reminded me of a game I used to play. Because, destruction-wise, called Red Faction Guerrilla. And it's, like, all destructible, like, everything. So I would, like, if there was someone's house that was just randomly there. Like, you're colonizing Mars or something, and your guy has a giant sledgehammer. So I was just like, well, I'm going to go and buy this guy's house. Apparently, it's a faction building that I'm trying to take out. So I'm just going to drive over there and smash his house down. I just go all the way around the foundation, and then once the foundation's gone, it just collapses.
Yeah.
It's just fun to watch.
I've played that. I have played that.
Yeah. I barely remember it, but I just remember like getting the smack stuff and it just all breaking down, and like I would play with friends and they would hide in buildings, but if you just shoot the foundation, the whole building collapses.
Yeah, I don't remember much about it. The name sounded familiar, and I'm looking at it, and I
Yeah.
remember playing it, but I just don't remember that much about it.
Yeah. I just like games where, like, the open world kind of game where if you're just driving around, you never get to drive around that much because you're always making side stops because you see a thing like, ooh, I want to pick it up, I want to know about it.
Yeah, you can. There's even like quests where you drive around and deliver like underground packages to people, and there's like this fight ring. You have to like do this underground fight ring and like beat people up. But it's a cool game. I can't wait for the multiplayer to come out because that's gonna make it 10 times better in my opinion.
I remember messing around with the multiplayer in Watch Dogs. It was super weird because it was like the kind of like thing where you go into someone's world and they're trying to hack you, where you try to hack them. Like you have to stay hidden from them.
Oh man.
Yeah, like one time I got in someone's game and like you have to like and I was like hiding in a bush and he was like walking around me and I almost got caught a lot of times. Like the Watch Dogs 1 multiplayer was so much different. I mean, I couldn't really stick around with it much because it stressed me out too much. I'm like, I just want to play the game and chill out, but I don't think it's going to be anything like that for Legion. They're probably going to do open world like GTA 5 type.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be more co-op, but I hope it's not like that. I don't want it
I
to
wouldn't
be a
really
PvP
like that
type
either.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even remember what the benefit was. I think you got like money, but like you never really needed money in that game because anytime you walk by a person, you can just hold X and hack their bank account and just take their money.
Right.
It's just like I'm running by people and getting $300 every 2 seconds, guys. I don't need this money.
I don't need it. Huh.
Yeah, that was just a really funny thing. I love that, but yeah, I think that Watch Dogs was a really good game.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's segment into our
Board games.
board game.
I'm a big board game fan.
Yeah, you can't see behind us here, but we have about 100 board games, maybe more, honestly.
I mean, it's like 5 shelves worth. I mean, five shelf like bookcase type deal. So it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's a collection.
We like board games. We like our board games, and we are going to talk about Root today because that Malachi and I both really enjoy Root. Now, that same can't be said for everybody in our gaming group, but for us, it's one of our favorites.
Yeah, Root like easily became my favorite game of all time, like my favorite board game of all time, like only after the first time I really played it because it's just that interesting of a game, honestly. For those of you who don't know what Root is, so imagine you're playing Risk, right? You got your people, right? But then imagine you made them woodland creatures, like we have raccoons, cats, birds, foxes, rabbits, and then imagine like the color you picked. So say I picked yellow and someone else picked green on that Risk board. They each have their own different, unique play style depending on that and win condition. Like it sounds insane, but it plays like extremely well, I'd say. And like we already have 2 of the expansions there. They add even more factions and more ways to play, more maps, more everything, really. They just keep adding on more stuff that's fantastic to it.
Yeah, I mean it's a great game. I love that each person is playing their own game essentially. Like you're all on the same map. You're all trying to like win, but nobody's really trying to win the same way.
Right.
You know, like if you're the cats, you're trying to just dominate and take over the entire board.
Yeah.
If you're the birds, I mean, you are still trying to take over the board, but I mean, everybody's just trying to get to their point total. But the birds can do it in different ways.
Like the birds have their decree they have to follow. Like they
Yeah.
have to do a certain way of things every turn in certain turn order, or else they go into disarray.
Which they're my favorite faction to play.
They're the
because
hardest
They're the
faction.
hardest, but I like the long game strategy. Like you have to think very meticulously about where you want to put your cards, and if you're not putting the wild cards in your faction's decree, then like you could potentially just screw your whole world up.
Like
know?
if you just make one slip on your decree and you can't make a move that turn, you just go into disarray, you lose a ton of points, you might lose the whole game because of that.
Yeah.
And that, I think they are a really interesting faction. I mean, I feel like not all factions are built the same. Like some are a little more boring than others. Like I think the Vagabond is a really good faction. The Eerie, the Birds, they're a really good one. I feel like the Woodland Alliance, the Rabbits and Foxes, they're really good. But like the Cats aren't all that fun because you start off with everything. The whole board is yours, but that means you're everyone's enemy.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of sitting there trying to make buildings and defend yourself, but that's about it. You start with everything, so really you're just trying to fight everyone off at the same time.
Yeah, I've never I've played once as the Cats and I hated it. I don't like playing the Cats. I don't even like playing the Vagabond. You like the Vagabond.
I love the Vagabond.
I don't really like that. I like the Birds and the Eerie Alliance and the Woodland Alliance because I think they're the most fun out of the original game to play. Which I just realized something. I think the reason why Sarah hates Root is because she's always starts as the Cats. And the cat is everybody's enemy. And she hates being like ganged up on. So that's exactly why she hates the game. We have to have her play another faction because then she'll love the game.
That's probably true, actually. I wouldn't say that everyone would hate the Marquise, because there's definitely fun things about them, like getting to have all the power the Marquise has. If you know how to play it right, you could just kind of be the tyrannical ruler of the entire woodland area. So there is some fun to be had. Like, a lot of the games we normally play, the Marquise wins, because they're just very strong. So, like, it's not completely bad because it's basically a trade-off. You're having the game handed to you, but you have to deal with everyone else trying to stop you from having that game handed to you.
Yeah, you're just maintaining as the marquee, but yeah, I like the Birds better. Yeah. But then the expansions
added a ton more.
Are really cool.
I think my favorite one, we played a bit of the Underworld expansion, which is the newest one. I really, really like the Riverfolk expansion one right now. Because it adds a second Vagabond, and the Vagabond's really fun because he's just one guy, all on his own, just trying to do quests and get a name for himself. He's not even an army, and that's just the fun thing about it because you never get bothered. You just get to do your own thing.
Yeah.
But then there's the Lizard Cult. They're a really interesting bunch. I mean, I feel like they aren't that strong, but like if you play it right, you can really mess people up. And then the Riverfolk Trading Company, they're just beavers trading with people.
Yeah.
You just sit there and you try and sell your wares. Like, will you
jack up your price?
Will you take my cards, please? I need funds.
Yeah, I haven't played anything but the River Cult. Or what are they called? The Lizard Cult. I haven't played any of the other ones except for them, but I love the Lizard Cult, and I like the way it plays because you can like sacrifice people to like take over area. I can't remember exactly how the mechanic works off the top of my head.
You can like make acolytes so you can convert people to make you on your side, and you can like destroy whole bases and make it your own. That's the Sanctify thing.
Yeah, you basically just take other people's stuff and like you say, "Oh, that's mine now."
Yeah, I made it mine. Yeah, now. Sorry.
That's cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing I love about that game because like I haven't even played all the factions yet. I really want to because they're so interesting, and that's just the thing. You can really have a different game every time.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can play a game without the Marquise. I mean, it'd be weird because normally every single time there's a Marquise because they have the whole board, but you can play without them. You don't need to play with them.
Right.
And the expansions make it so you could play with, like, 5 people. So there could be 5 whole factions on that one board just fighting each other.
I think the book, the instruction book tells you what factions...
Yeah, they give you recommended setups.
Yeah, what plays well with what.
Almost every time the Marquise is a part of it.
True.
Because they fill up the board and have a lot on there, and it basically gives everyone something to fight. But speaking of expansions, we played one game of the Underworld expansion, which is also a really neat one with the Corvid conspiracy, the little crows, and then the Duchy, which are the mole people.
Yeah, that was the mole people were pretty cool. I got to play them. And like their main base is off the board altogether, so you can't really take over their home base, right? So,
Yeah.
and they like burrow their way into the map, which is a pretty cool concept. I
Yeah,
like
they
that.
just try to rise up from the underground and take over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty freaking cool idea. And then I like the crows, which is what the crows, the conspiracy guys, because they just kind of like they're like try to do fear tactics. Like you have a guy sitting there, you put a little token on their face down, you don't know what it does, but if you flip it, anything could happen. Like you give them more coin, you give them a battle power, you instantly blow up and all of your stuff blows up.
Yeah.
That's like the idea. You're trying to play mind games and put like a token down that, well, I don't know what it is, but I don't want to mess with it. But joke's on you. It was something that screwed you. And when you tried to destroy it, it just made me stronger.
When did Root come out? That it's not that old of a game, right? Because like I was
it
just
up.
looking it up. It was a #1 Kickstarter when it came out, but we just did the oh shoot, what's it called? Origins Game Fair. Not this past year, obviously, because of COVID, but the year prior, so 2019, it was nominated as Game of the Year at the Origins Game Fair. So I feel like.
I feel like that's well earned because it's a super good game,
Yeah,
honestly.
I think it's a kind of a new game.
2018.
Honestly. 2018. Okay, so yeah, it hadn't been out that long.
Yeah, and I feel like it's earned its best game of the year thing because it's just a really interesting game, honestly.
Yeah, man, for being out, it's already got 2 expansions. Well, I feel like that first expansion probably came out.
They actually have a third expansion where they add the mechanical enemies so you can play against them. And it's like of multiple factions like the Birds and the Woodland Alliance. It's an interesting idea. I don't really like the mechanical games because they almost always win and just destroy you. But like it's
That's
a good
for solo.
concept.
That's like a solo thing.
You can
right?
actually play co-op like with multiple people.
Huh.
Which was a really neat addition. That was also in the Riverfolk. I feel like the Riverfolk was probably better than the Underworld because it added a lot more. But that's actually not entirely true because while the Riverfolk added more factions and things, the thing I do like about the Underworld expansion is that it added a whole 2 new maps, like the lake and the mountains, which were really freaking sweet because you got to like on the lake you could be on one side of the lake, take a boat to the other side, and then the people couldn't follow you because the boat was gone. Like that was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of cool ideas, and when you think it'd be a really unbalanced game, it's really not that bad. It's pretty balanced, all things considered. With all those factions, it still stays pretty balanced.
Yeah. Well, the first iteration of Root I have at the house, and the Woodland Alliance is totally overpowered. Like you can what they do differently in the new one. I can't remember exactly what they changed, but you could go and you could
It had something to do with revolting, right?
revolting and influence, but you
You were
could
still
just,
able to revolt in this one, but was it like more frequent or something?
I think you could do it with less cards in your
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Revolting is devastating. It's just basically where they destroy your entire area, your clearing where you have all your stuff, and then they build a base on it.
Yeah.
So like it's destructive. So if you make that easy to access, it kind of hurts you it hurts everyone else real bad.
Yeah, I just remember like I could move a dude, I could pull him off the board and put influence.
Oh,
is
you're
what it's
able to
called.
do that still,
Yeah, you
yeah.
can still do that, but I was doing that, and then I was revolting, and like just killed
Because
people left
everything
and
was
right.
gone, yeah. Not to mention that if they're defending, they are even stronger, which makes it just ridiculous to fight them.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that got reprinted because, like, now they're really balanced and you actually have to have some sort of strategy when you're playing them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't even want to play the Woodland Alliance really anymore. Like, I mean, it was fun when I could just dominate people, but now
I still think I would play them, though. Because, I mean, you don't dominate everyone, but you're definitely not weak. I
Yeah.
don't think any of them are super weak.
well, I mean, the Vagabond's weak, but he doesn't care.
Yeah, the Vagabond's weak, but he gets a ton of points just by existing.
He's just walking around with a shopping cart trying to trade your wares.
Trade wares, yep.
Yeah.
Oh. I think that's good right there. Honestly, I feel like
Yeah.
we've sufficiently talked about some of the games we were interested in this week.
All three of our favorite gaming genres.
Yeah. And I suggest that you guys, check these games out because I mean, we're not just talking about them because it's good for our health. We're talking about it because we love them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, go get those Beat Saber songs,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Well-
All right. Well, we'll see you guys, and thanks for listening.